Hello, and welcome to another episode of Splashing Paint. Today, I will be painting a Vargskyr from the Cursed City board game. I plan on using this as a proxy for my Varghulf Courtier for my Flesh Eater Courts army. Now some of you may have a few questions like, why don't I just use the actual fine cast Varghulf model? And why am I even playing Flesh Eater Courts? Or more importantly, why am I not at work? Well, stay tuned, because I plan on answering none of those questions. First, I'll be tackling the skin, using the contrast paint Plague Bearer's Flesh from GW. I splash this stuff all over the model, making sure not to let it gather too much. This stuff can turn into goo if you let it pull in the recesses. This also is the skin tone for my entire Flesh Eater Courts army. I wanted to go with a sour undead flesh tone. I work my way across the model, making sure to take care not to paint the fur. But as always, if I splash on the wrong areas, I'll go back and touch it up. Now that the skin has dried, I move over to the wings. For this, I use contrast paint Black Legion. I like this paint, but not enough to stop using Black Templar. I take care not to splash it on the skin. I wouldn't want to give this thing freckles. I mean, it's bad enough it's an undead flying werewolf bat monster. Next, I move to the fur, and I use the Wildwood contrast paint. If you haven't noticed by now, I plan on using a lot of contrast paints for this model. It really has changed the way I paint and the amount of models I can knock out in a short amount of time. I can do a quick paint scheme with it, or just use it as a base coat and shade. Either way, as a horde player, batch painting is less of a hassle now. Like with Black Legion, I resist the urge to just splash this stuff all over. Slow and steady, I guess. I wasn't sure about the paint scheme, but painting the fur helped. Time to paint the claws and teeth. I go with my usual method of using Xandri dust as the base. Then once dried, I then layer with Ushapti bone, and then a final highlight of Screaming Skull. It's time to throw some shade. I use Carrotbird Crimson on the hands, arms, feet, and legs, even around the mouth. I don't want to go too heavy with this, but I want to sell the effect that this thing frantically ripped apart its victims. And this is, of course, if I didn't roll a 1. Wash time. I use Soft Tone by Army Painter. This quick shade will help bring everything together and adding more definition to the model. This stuff is thicker than usual washes, so I really have to watch how much I splash on. When it dries, if I apply it too much, it will leave globs. It's not a huge deal, but it's just another reason for me to practice patience and self-control. After leaving the model to dry for a few hours, I move on to basing. Don't worry, I use the downtime to buy more miniatures, because I don't already have plenty. For the ground texture, I use Asher Granite Debris. Time to darken up the recesses of the ground texture. For this, I use good old non-oil. I cover the entire base, taking care not to splash this on the model's feet. But now, you may have noticed a slight increase in the base. This is of course due to the fact that the Varghulf is on a 60 mil, not a 50. After the base has dried, I then brush on some pigment powders from additional flair. My entire army is based this way. Afterwards, I use alcohol to fix the powder in place. It really does mute the bright, vibrant colors, but I wanted the effect to be subtle. Finally, it's time to make a few passes around Saturn. I do this about 2 or 3 times, and of course in black. Thanks for watching. As always, if you enjoyed this quick splash of paint, please like, leave a comment, and/or subscribe. Don't forget to check out my Instagram. I have over 100 posts from previous projects. Thanks again. Until next time.